When you compare the iPhone 5C to a lot of similarly priced Android phones, the 5C starts looking a lot better. Now, I'd personally rather use an iPhone 5C than the likes of a ZTE Maven or some other sub $50 smartphone.
But that's just me. I'm already invested in the Apple ecosystem.
So, I was wrong in my last video. There are much better value phones out there than something like an iPhone 5C. Considering Apple isn't the place to go for budget options, I decided to go to the Android side this time to find a cheaper smartphone. And I think I found something quite usable for just $16. This is the Samsung Galaxy S2. It can run the newest Android 8.1 Oreo, and despite being 7 years old, it's actually still quite usable. Released in 2011, the Samsung Galaxy S2 completely changed the smartphone industry in a positive way. The specs far outpaced the competition, and the large for the time size began the phablet trend. Looking at reviews from the time says it all. The 4.3-inch AMOLED screen was unwieldy and just too large, and the specs were considered overkill. And according to reviews at the time, the phone being so thin made the device feel petite and breakable. It really goes to show that features we consider positives now were unheard of and almost negative 7 years ago. The forward-thinking design and specs are really the only thing keeping this phone alive today, as it has just enough headroom to run Android 8.1, and the age keeps the prices under the $20 mark. This is my Galaxy S2. It's the i90-100 model to be specific. A used Galaxy S2 from eBay will run you about $16 without battery and $30 with battery. I went for one without a battery, so I just spent an additional $5 on a battery from eBay as well. All up, I spent a total of $21 on my Galaxy S2, and that's if you want to include battery costs, of course. You can get a Galaxy S2 for actually cheaper if you go for a less desirable model. I only went with the i90-100 because it's a bit easier to flash and it was in very good condition. And for any price below $50, the Galaxy S2 becomes a pretty interesting option. So that's what I'll be focusing on in this video today. This phone as a viable used option in 2018. Start with the design. The Galaxy S2 has an entirely plastic construction which looks and feels somewhat cheap. On the bright side, you can snap off the plastic backing to reveal the replaceable 1600 mAh battery. From a longevity standpoint, this is crucial. A standard lithium ion battery starts severely degrading after about 2 years, and by about 5 years of normal use, it won't hold a charge anymore. Not having to rely on a company to replace your battery for you is instrumental to the longevity of these unsupported devices. Take my iPhone 6s for example. I've had this phone for about 3 years, and a few months ago it stopped holding much of a charge at all. If Apple still didn't support this phone, I'd be out of luck on safely replacing my battery. I could replace it myself, but it's me we're talking about. I tried replacing my iPhone 5C's battery not too long ago, and like the painfully inept person I am, I ended up destroying the home button. So basically, removable batteries are important to me. On the other side of the phone lies the 480p Super AMOLED display. Its colors and resolution are really bad, but it makes up for that by having really nice looking black tones because it's an AMOLED screen. And keep in mind, we're dealing with 4.3 inches here, so it's really not that bad on pixel density, it just can look a little off sometimes. Internally, the Galaxy S2 is blazing fast compared to the competition. It featured 1GB of RAM, a dual-core 1.2 GHz Exynos processor, 16GB of storage, and even had SD expansion. This is an iPhone 4S, a 2011 flagship from Apple, and this is the Galaxy S2 we've been talking about. Also a 2011 flagship. On specs alone, the Galaxy S2 is the winner here, and on usability, it might be the winner as well, except for official updates. With the help of some ROMing, the Galaxy S2 can run Android 8.1 Oreo, sorta. It's pretty buggy and just not a good experience, so I opted for Android 7.1.2 Nougat instead. In terms of longevity, Nougat should be supported for the foreseeable future. Considering Android is so bad with updates that it's not even funny, it leaves really old operating systems still supported. You could have a 6-year-old release of Android Jelly Bean, and most apps can still run on that. So for the foreseeable future, app support will be there. The experience itself on the Galaxy S2 is actually fairly decent. It's laggy, don't get me wrong, but after a few minutes of using the phone, I really got used to it. Doing any daily modern activity on this phone is completely fine. It lagged just a little bit while I was scrolling through Twitter, and lots of multitasking made the phone lock up just a little bit, but it really wasn't too bad. The camera on the S2, at least in my experience, is really, really bad. Now, full disclosure here, this very well could be the ROM, I really don't know. But when I was testing the camera, I was getting some of the worst dynamic range I've ever seen, and the photos were so grainy, it's ridiculous. For those who don't know, I'm a part-time photographer, and I do a lot of street photography and just photograph a lot of people, and I like using a telephoto lens for that, so I'm always zooming in on my photos. When I'm using a phone, the telephoto performance is like the most important thing to me. And on the S2, when I zoomed into anything, things got really pixelated. So here, see for yourself. I put together a short little library of sample photos and video I took, so take a look. When it comes down to it, this is a phone you can get for $16. And considering it can run such a new operating system and it can take 1080p video, it has expandable storage, it's still fairly usable, that's just impressive on its own. We have much more expensive budget Android phones in the markets that are still running either Lollipop or Marshmallow if you're lucky. And so seeing such a new operating system on such a cheap device is really impressive to me. I don't know, it might not be impressive to other people, but I think it's just weird. Anyway, that'll be it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I'm putting so much more effort into my videos lately, and so I hope it really shows. If you're new here, remember to subscribe or like or comment or whatever you feel like. If for my existing subscribers out there, just remember to comment or like this video, as if you don't interact with the video, you won't see my future uploads when they come out. YouTube's kinda silly now. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.